Booktube, it's Emily. I'm back again with what I'm hoping will be the first in a series of Throwback Thursday posts. Part of my plan for this channel was to talk about not only books that I'm reading or have just read, but also other Australian books that I read a while ago that I think deserve to be talked about. The first one I've got for you today is a semi-definitive list of worst nightmares by Krystal Sutherland. This book is about the character of Esther Solar, who is convinced that her family has been cursed by death and that every member of her family will die from their worst fear. And to prevent that from happening, Esther is a bit of a recluse, and she has a list of all the things she can think of that might possibly be someone's worst fear, and she avoids them completely. This book is primarily a young adult contemporary, but it does have some aspects that I think are magical realism. I've seen other reviews that say border on magical realism, so I guess it's a case of your mileage may vary on that. But to sort of sum it up succinctly, the character of Death does show up once or twice, but it's never really clear if he's actually there or maybe it's all in Esther's head. It's left up to the reader to decide. Towards the start of the book, Esther is reunited with her childhood sweetheart, Jonah, who persuades her to start facing the fears on her list to prove to her that if she's not careful, she will actually waste away rather than facing life and all the terror and fear that comes with it. It's dealing with things like anxiety and other mental illnesses, and I saw a lot of reviews where people say, oh, I went into it thinking it's going to make light of mental illness, which it doesn't at all. But it strikes this really perfect balance between keeping a light tone but not making light of the issues that it talks about. There's some really beautiful writing, some really amazing passages about how fear can bog us down and make us miss out on all sorts of experiences, about how you have to keep going in the face of adversity. There's a really beautiful bond that develops between Esther and Jonah. You also get to see the rest of her family, how they deal with the supposed curse, and how they may but not believe in it, but their fears are still keeping them at bay. It's not a love conquers all, love cures mental illness or any other kind of ailment story. Those things are not solved, but the characters learn to move forward and deal with them. I'd like to just finish off by reading a passage from towards the end of the book. There are no spoilers, but this does give you an idea of the writing style that is employed throughout the whole book. But life was rarely full of clean and tidy resolutions. Good moments would inevitably again lead to bad moments, which would lead to more good moments, until there was nothing left but dust and stories. But that moment, right there with him that night, that was a damn good moment, and the good moments had to be remembered. And if all she could be in the end was dust and stories, she could think of far worse fates than to become dust and stories with a pickpocket, a skilled petty criminal, an underage drinker, a public nuisance, and the very best person she had ever met. The book does come with some trigger warnings. There are references to and some descriptions of domestic violence, suicide, and self-harm. When I read the book back in 2017, I gave it a 4-star rating. There were a couple of little narrative things that stopped me from giving it a full 5 stars, but it was one of my favourite books that year. And I really recommend it as a prime example of great Australian young adult fiction. Thanks for joining me on my first Throwback Thursday video. That was a semi-definitive list of worst nightmares by Krystal Sutherland. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.